If you want to change your life, this book gives you one of the simplest answers you will ever hear.
And honestly, that is exactly why most people miss it. Because we think success must look dramatic. We think transformation must feel intense. We think the thing that changes our future must be big, impressive, emotional, and obvious. But the slight edge says no. Your life changes through small decisions, through repeatable actions, through simple things that are easy to do, but also easy not to do. And that one idea is powerful enough to change your health, your money, your mindset, your relationships, your confidence, and your future. What makes this book so valuable is that Jeff Olson is not selling fantasy. He is not telling you that one lucky break will save you. He is not telling you that wanting success badly enough is enough. He is saying something more useful. He is saying that success is built quietly, not in one giant leap, not in one emotional weekend, not in one New Year motivation burst, but through what you keep doing when no one is clapping. That is the promise of this book. Now the book opens with one of the best teaching devices in the whole thing. The story of the beach bum and the millionaire. At first, it sounds like two different people. One ends up broke, frustrated, directionless. The other becomes successful, fulfilled, wealthy, and happy. But then, Olson reveals that both people are him. And that is the point. Inside one person, there was the potential for collapse and the potential for greatness. The difference was not intelligence. It was not destiny. It was not some magical talent. It was daily behavior. That is one of the most important lessons in the entire book. You have both versions of yourself inside you right now. The disciplined version, the distracted version, the patient version, the impulsive version, the one building a better future, and the one quietly sabotaging it. And every day, your little choices feed one of them. Now this is where the book gets really interesting. Olson explains that most people live on what he calls a roller coaster. They move away from failure, start getting better results, then stop doing the very things that help them improve. Then they slide back down. Then, when pain returns, they push again. Then they stop again. And this cycle repeats in money, health, relationships, and life. Think about how real that is. Someone starts exercising because they feel bad. They lose some weight. They feel a little better. Then they relax too much. Then the old habits return. Or someone starts saving money because being broke hurts. They get a little cushion. Then they stop being disciplined. Then they slip again. The tragedy is not that they never knew what to do. The tragedy is that they stopped doing what worked. That might be the most practical insight in the whole book, because so many people think success requires discovering some hidden secret. Olson says the opposite. You already know more than enough to improve your life. The real challenge is staying consistent long enough for these simple actions to compound. And that leads to the central phrase of the book, simple daily disciplines. That is the slight edge. Reading 10 pages a day, saving a small amount from each paycheck, taking a walk every day, speaking with more appreciation, learning a little every day, doing what you said you would do. None of those things look life-changing in the moment. And that is exactly why they are so easy to dismiss. But the book keeps repeating a powerful truth. What is easy to do is also easy not to do. That sentence can hit you hard if you really let it sink in, because most failure does not come from one huge disaster. It comes from 100 tiny neglects, 100 skipped disciplines, 100 moments where you say, it doesn't matter. And then years later, it mattered a lot. The next big lesson the author wants you to understand is that information by itself is not enough. This comes through strongly in the chapter called The First Ingredient. Olson says, the reason so many people read good books, hear good advice, buy good programs, and still do not change is because information is not the missing piece. The missing piece is philosophy. In other words, how you think about everyday actions. Not just what to do, but how you relate to doing it. That is why diets fail for so many people. That is why motivation fades. That is why people get inspired and then return to the same habits. The issue is not always the plan. The issue is the mindset behind the plan. Olson puts it simply, a positive philosophy creates positive attitudes. Positive attitudes create positive actions. Positive actions create positive results. And positive results create a positive life. That is huge because it means your life is not built from isolated actions. It is built from a chain. Philosophy becomes attitude. Attitude becomes action. Action becomes result. Result becomes lifestyle. So if someone keeps trying to change their life only at the action level, but never changes the philosophy underneath it, the change usually does not last. That is why this book feels different from shallow self-help. It is not just saying, go do more. It is saying, learn to see simple things differently. Now let's connect this to one of the most memorable parts of the book, the penny doubled. This is one of the clearest illustrations in the whole book. One son chooses $1 million now. The other chooses one penny that doubles every day. At first, the penny looks foolish, embarrassing even, insignificant. But over time, that tiny beginning explodes because of compounding. And that is Olson's message. The most powerful force in personal growth is not intensity, it is compounding. That matters in real life because people keep underestimating small actions. One healthy meal does not seem powerful. One workout does not seem powerful. One conversation does not seem powerful. One page read does not seem powerful. One journal entry does not seem powerful. But the slight edge says, stop judging actions only by their immediate visible result. Judge them by the direction they create. That is one of the smartest ideas in the book. Because most people quit in the invisible phase. The gym is not changing their body fast enough. Saving is not changing their account fast enough. Reading is not changing their life fast enough. Being patient is not changing the relationship fast enough. So they stop. But compounding always looks unimpressive in the beginning. The water does not look like it is boiling until it finally does. The pond does not look covered until suddenly it is. The result does not look dramatic until enough time has passed. And this chapter teaches something most people overlook. Time is not neutral. Time magnifies whatever you repeat. Repeat good choices, and time becomes your ally. Repeat poor choices, and time becomes your enemy. Now, another powerful lesson in the book is the idea of mastering the mundane. This might be one of the least exciting phrases in the book, but maybe one of the most important, because most people want the exciting part of success. They want the recognition, the visible result, the confidence, the freedom, but they do not want the repetitive part. And Olson keeps bringing you back to the truth that greatness is built in the repetitive part, in the boring part, in the unseen part, in the daily part. That is where the real battle is won. Can you stay faithful to something small and useful long enough for it to become powerful? That is what separates dreamers from builders. Now let's talk about one of the most refreshing chapters in the book, The Secret of Happiness. A lot of self-improvement books talk about achievement as if it is the whole point. Olson broadens the conversation. He makes it clear that the slight edge is not just for money or career. It is also about everyday happiness. That matters because some people become obsessed with results and still live in tension, frustration, and comparison. Olson's deeper idea is that happiness also compounds. Gratitude compounds. Appreciation compounds. Positive focus compounds. Kindness compounds. Just like bitterness compounds, complaining compounds, neglect compounds, resentment compounds. So if you apply the slight edge only to money, you miss the bigger power of the book. The slight edge is really a way of living, a way of thinking, a way of relating to time, a way of building your inner world and your outer world at the same time. And then the book gets even bigger with the ripple effect. This is where Olson expands the idea beyond personal success. Your daily choices do not affect only you. They affect your family, your friends, your future children, your work, your example, your energy, and the people around you. That means your discipline is not private. Your habits create ripples. If you become more patient, someone else experiences that. If you become more reliable, someone else benefits from that. If you become healthier, more stable, more generous, more thoughtful, more focused, that changes the emotional climate around you. And that is powerful, because now success is no longer just selfish improvement. Now it becomes stewardship. Now it becomes impact. Now, in the second half of the book, Olson gets more practical. He talks about investing in yourself, learning from mentors, using your slight edge allies, building habits, and turning dreams into disciplined action. And what makes this section valuable is that he does not make it mystical. He keeps bringing it back to structure. Read good books, spend time with the right people, reflect regularly, complete unfinished things, build momentum, celebrate progress, turn good behavior into automatic habit. Let's pause on habits, because this is one of the strongest practical lessons in the whole book. Olson says your habits are simply choices repeated until they become automatic. That means your future is not mainly built by your biggest intentions. It is built by what has become automatic in you. If complaining is automatic, that will shape your life. If gratitude is automatic, that will shape your life. If spending is automatic, that will shape your finances. If learning is automatic, that will shape your growth. If quitting is automatic, that will shape everything. And the key line here is that every habit starts in choice. At first, you are in control. Then repetition takes over. Then the habit starts shaping your life. So if we simplify this lesson, what the author is really saying is this: do not wait until you feel like becoming a different person. Start choosing like that person now. Then let repetition do the deep work. That is such an important mindset shift, because people often want identity change before action. The slight edge says action creates identity. You save, and over time, you become a saver. You read, and over time, you become a learner. You train, and over time, you become disciplined. You speak with appreciation, and over time, you become a more positive person. Small actions, repeated, become character, and character becomes destiny. That idea alone can change the way you approach your entire life. Now, let's move into application, because this is where the book becomes immediately useful. If you finish this book and did nothing, Olson would probably say you missed the point. So what does applying the slight edge actually look like? It means you stop trying to redesign your whole life in one day. Instead, you choose one small discipline in the key areas of your life. One for health, one for happiness, one for relationships, one for personal development, one for finances, one for career, one for impact. For health, maybe it is a daily walk. For happiness, maybe it is writing down 3 things you are grateful for. For relationships, maybe it is one message of appreciation a day. For personal development, maybe it is 10 pages a day. For finances, maybe it is automatic saving every month. For career, maybe it is one important skill-building action each day. For impact, maybe it is one meaningful act of service each week. Not 10 changes, not 50 goals. One simple discipline in each important area. And then the most important part, keep going, even when it feels small, even when nobody notices, even when your emotions are flat, even when results are invisible. Because the slight edge is not powered by excitement. It is powered by consistency. That is why this book is so mature. It respects the truth that life is usually won in ordinary days. Now here is the emotional core of the whole message. You do not need to become a different species of person to succeed. You do not need genius. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need instant transformation. You need a better philosophy. You need clearer choices. You need daily disciplines. And you need enough patience to let time work for you instead of against you. That is the real beauty of this book. It gives hope, but not fantasy. It says your future can change, but it also says your future changes through responsibility, through repetition, through self-leadership, through quiet discipline. And honestly, that is more empowering than waiting for a miracle. Because if the slight edge is real, then today matters. This morning matters, this afternoon matters, tonight matters. What you repeat this week matters. What you normalize this month matters. And what seems tiny right now may be building your next year, your next 5 years, or your next decade. So let's bring the whole book down to one final message. The life you want is probably not blocked by one huge missing piece. It is more likely being built or delayed by small repeated choices. That means the path forward is not hidden. It is simpler than you think. Read the page, take the walk, save the amount, make the call, keep the promise, learn the lesson, choose the better thought, repeat the better action, and then do it again tomorrow. That is the slight edge. It is small enough to ignore, powerful enough to transform your life, and patient enough to reward you if you stay with it. If you take anything from this book, take this. Do not underestimate the power of simple disciplines. Do not despise small beginnings. And do not quit just because the result has not shown up yet. Because your life is changing, quietly, daily, either in your favor or against it. So make the next choice count. And if this message hit you, let me know in the comments. What is one slight edge habit you are going to start today?